inroads to our capitalist structure discussion.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right. I know Andrew Yang kind of brought that to the fore, right, with his political campaign. And I just witnessed
he's trying to start a new political party.
I like him. The sad part about him is that he didn't have enough charisma to get anywhere. And I don't mean that as a pejorative. He's a nice guy. He just doesn't have, the political.
He's very
more introverted than he is, salesy. And I think sadly you kind of have to have that JFK, charisma in our culture to be looked at. But UBI,
or Obama,
Well, yeah, I mean Obama, just the charisma just poured out of him. Well, same with Bill Clinton. I was at a fundraising dinner for Bill Clinton in 99, I guess, and he walked into the ballroom and it was like boom. I mean, it was like it was out of hand, and he came up to our table just because we're there giving him money. But I'll never forget.
I'd be happy too if I was getting some money from you.
Well, yeah. Hey. It was, just to be clear, it was the company I was working for at the time. I didn't have enough money to do it.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, so the UBI discussion, because to me, the UBI discussion talks to what we just mentioned, which is everyone says, oh, if we give people money, they're just going to sit on their ass and do nothing. And that goes against, for me, the fundamental belief that people work for money only. I mean, our structure right now, as far as the inequality, is stacked in that category where a lot of people like my mom, and it sounds like from where you grew up, they have to work to eat.
Yes. And Joey, that's most people.
I know. And that was the stats I think it was last year that came out, that's 40% of our population can't come up with $400 for an emergency, which means they are genuinely paycheck to paycheck. Yep. And if anything goes sideways, it's a problem. And so the UBI isn't about, which is funny too, by the way. So I was on the phone, my brother and I were talking to my mom about the child credits that went out.
Yeah.
And that her and her little friends, my mom's 81, and all her little octogenarian buddies in Rochester, Minnesota are sitting around talking. And they thought that the same thing. Well, I don't think those kids need that money. And I don't think every one of those parents needs that money. I said, Mom, me and my two brothers, time value of money, you would have had $750 extra every month.
Yeah.
Would that have helped you? Well, yes, but we were poor. I said, yeah, I know, but that's the point. Yeah. This one initiative lifted 50% of our children out of poverty. And and my mom, because she lived with the right-wing lunatic husband for years, she just divorced him because she just had enough. But she's poisoned. Like this is you being benefited. Now you're pushing back because your friends. And my mom is financially comfortable because of this divorce. Yeah. But it blew me away that she wasn't even supporting UBI. She wasn't supporting child tax credits for this. And the culture, the narrative in our culture is that if you give people money, they will sit on their ass. And it's the welfare queen bullshit that Reagan started. And it's the stuff that
which was a dog whistle, by the way.
Well, it was a blowhorn.
Yes.
I don't think it was a dog whistle.
Thank you for that amendment.
And the same thing Derek Bell was talking about is that there's so much poverty, and that the fact that you can't live, if you got $500 a month, let's just say, that means you could ostensibly not freak out about feeding your kids. So just that level of stress reduction would help not only the individual, but it would help the culture. It would help your preemptive approach to your healthcare. It would help your stress levels. It would help your cortisol. It would help everything that's rushing through your body when you're constantly worried about everything going wrong, and that anything that goes wrong has a deleterious effect to your family's health and well-being.
Whether it's UBI, universal basic income, whether it's SSI, whatever it is, we need to figure out how to give income to the poorest Americans, because the poorest Americans, they take around like 20-something% of all income. And then the top 1% takes just way more than that. So we have to figure out how to help most Americans. And we know that surviving, not even being able to afford $500 a month for emergency expenses, they can't even do that. So there's obviously an income issue in this country. And so, we have to, I think it's incredibly important to support income-based programs that are actually don't have really any restrictions at all. You don't have to work. You don't have to prove these things. Maybe some basic things like where do you live, and can you check in with me each year to let me know how you're doing. Like those are some basic requirements. But what we got to think about is when we give money to poor people or poorer people, they're gonna spend it on local businesses. They're gonna spend it in their communities. They're not going to outsource that money as billionaires are. So if we're really going to talk about welfare queens and kings, it's these fucking billionaires. It's these people.
I don't think there's any question there. But this is another differentiation. We agree 100% on this because the numbers are pretty consistent. For every dollar you put in federal fund, you get $1.40 back. Yes. So historically,
it's Keynesian economics.
It is, and that's the cool thing about math is that it doesn't really matter what you think. It's just math, and that is an agreed upon number for stimulus. We know that. Where I would actually make sure, and this is language too, the billionaire class is very small, right? And they're billionaires in part. There's the Koch brothers that inherited all their shit. That's possibly why they're such dickheads. But then there's guys like, Elon Musk as an example, who is a true intrepid genius entrepreneur, right? So for me, that's why I think with the frame.
And by the way, there's many other people that are way smarter than him that don't make that money.
Of course there are. But I'm saying that he's a businessman, right? He understands where to be, when to be, and how to do it. And
he got really lucky.
Well, on myriad fronts. I don't think anybody will admit without luck. Luck is involved. In fact, but what I'm saying is that it's the corporate laws. It's the laws in our body politic that allow money to be shoved out of the United States, not taxed, hidden within structures that don't allow you to know where the money is. So it's not. I don't think it's the billionaire's fault. And I've had this discussion with Brett McIntyre because I love him, but he goes after the billionaires all the time, and he says that all billionaires are corrupt, all centimillionaires are corrupt, and it's like no, and that's a narrative that gets really poisonous. Specifically, because I have some friends who made gobs and gobs and gobs of money to the point where they can't spend it, and they're wonderful people, and they get pushed back on this too. And so I think it's and this goes back to our capitalism because we agree on UBI, and I love that framing, by the way, because most people wouldn't even understand it. Yeah, just like let's just chuck it into SSI or SSBI, like done, like perfect. I would love
because it's already
there. Also. Yes, and I love that. That's a great approach. Capitalism. How do you feel about what is? I know I don't think you, and I said this in my email to you. Yeah. A lot of your brethren, your iGen, people of your ilk at an educational level are very upset with capitalism. There's lots of talk around communism. And even in some of the intersectionality training methods, there's books with the sickle on it. It's like it's gotten to a point where you see this in the zeitgeist. What is your belief on capitalism? Can it be regulated? Because to me, that's the problem as a businessman. It needs to be regulated. It's a fucking Ferrari with no brakes. It's a problem. What is your thought on capitalism and or its replacement and or its remedy?
So I want to say it's immoral to be a billionaire unless you're giving all that money away. And same with multimillionaires. And the reason why is because most of us are dirt poor, relative. So, and we can explain that away with ignorance. If you're super wealthy and you never see people dying and starving and being hungry, I get that. But I think it's immoral to be a billionaire given the context of most people. So that's first thing. Now,
well, most of those guys are giving away 90% of their wealth. Even Zuckerberg and Warren Buffett and all those cats, Bill Gates, they're giving away that money. So that's what I was addressing with Brett. I'm like, come on, dude, don't use all and always and never because those words are really powerful.
Well, it's that, but it's also just like, see, that's hard for me because while they are giving away a lot of their wealth, they're still in yachts. They're still in these wealthy dinners. They're still, they're in a different class. And I think it's immoral to be in that different class when people are dying from food. malnutrition.
And I don't know where the excess is, but that would be I would say that if you buy a $500 million yacht, and then there's something there that seems to be off for me. But again, I live in the biggest glass house in the world, and I wrote a book about being a douchebag. So I am a douchebag, and I own clothes that no one should own, and I've had cars that no one should own, because where is that equilibrium? I have no idea, because
it's hard. It's hard because we're with a capitalistic system, we have to work so hard for what we get. And so there's a sense of ownership of our private property and what we want to do with our funds. So we always have to be sensitive to that. But it's just to me, seeing what my clients go through every day. They're all formerly homeless. Yeah, it's just hard for me to accept the reality of being a billionaire. And who knows? I could be envious. There's a lot of things that we can consider, but to me, it's just there should be no excess when there's not enough for people.
I believe that in my heart, but I also I would push back on my kids. So here's an example. I think the world's going sideways, right? I think it's in trouble. So the more money I can put in my kids' coffers to say, you know what, guys, go out and do something good. You don't have to get a job that you don't like, right?
Yeah.
I've explained that to them already. You go out and do what you love. If you want to, Kingston wants to be maybe make Legos. I mean, they're babies, right? These 8, 9 years old. They don't know what they want to do. But what I continue to drum into their brains, do what you love. And I said, it doesn't matter what you do, but help people.
Yeah.
You guys are both really lucky. Now, that's all they really understand at this point. You're really lucky. And I want you to take that luck and go help other people. And they're like, okay, Daddy, that's the idea behind it. So for me, as their dad, I want them to have enough money so they don't have to fucking freak out like I did my whole life about money. And so I don't know where that number is. Is it 20 million? I don't have $20 million, but I'm just saying, is it one of those things where I don't know? Because if I had 20 million, I don't think I'd give it away, to be truthful. I'd be like, guys, here's 10 million each. Figure it out. I put it in a trust fund, take care of your family, and then go help the world. But that's where that thing gets really weird for me, is where do morals play?
I think it's less about numbers. I think it's more about just making sure that people who are suffering and struggling have their needs met. So
I get that too, but I drive to school every day past hundreds, if not thousands, of really fucked up situations. Yeah. And I could possibly go out and help them right now.
Yeah. But and honestly, that's what we should really all be doing. But but I will say the reason why I don't do that is because I'm fucking selfish. And I think the reason why we're selfish is because of our capitalistic system. It's embedded in us. It teaches us that we literally have to fucking scratch for what we have.
Everything.
And most of us are actually, most of the people who are successful. So when we talk about Bezos, when we talk about Musk, when we talk about Bill Gates, none of them started off in poverty. It's like almost an anomaly to start off in poverty and become a billionaire or a millionaire. So generally, when you're impoverished, you're likely going to stay impoverished for the rest of from generation to generation to generation. I'm pretty sure there's statistics on it. I can't cite
there is. Well, I can, because the out of the quintile, you have a 4% chance of jumping from abject poverty to poverty, and from poverty to lower middle class is 8, and it continues to go up. So, if you start out where we did, I'm one of the anomalies that actually got out, and I got out based on luck.
Yes.
And the fact that I have unbelievable characteristics in our society that work well. I'm a salesman.
Well, and our mothers worked their fucking asses off.
Yeah, they did, and showed us what it takes to get through life. But But so on the capitalist piece, I agree with everything you just said. I think that, again, that it doesn't do progressives any good to use billionaires as a weapon or a wedge issue, because it throws everyone back on their feet. Because, again, whether these guys made it on their own or not, it's the laws of our body politic that allow these guys to hide their money, and that is immoral, right? And they don't pay taxes. The fact that Amazon doesn't pay taxes is insane. GE didn't pay taxes.
Or Donald Trump paid. I paid more taxes this month than Donald Trump paid.
Correct.
He paid $794 that one.
Correct. And that is the problem. That isn't capitalism, that's corruption.